Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Women's Virtual Success Summit. Yes, I've saved Wilnona from saying it. She's been getting it wrong
all day.
And I'm Jade.
And I'm Wilnona.
And we are part of the And I Thought ladies and also the author of these books, the And I Thought series, that you can get on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. And also, we are the co-hosts of this summit, which makes us so excited because we're still can't believe she picked us. It's everything.
I know, really. But today we have with us right now, we have a great guest, Mr. Scott Schmaren.
Schmaren.
See?
It's okay, you're close enough.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Schmaren. Okay, he is the performanceologist. Scott Schmaren is a nationally known speaker. He's a coach and he's an author. He has spent 20 years learning powerful success technologies. He has used what he has learned to create and transform his life as well as others, and losing 180 plus pounds and maintaining it while rediscovering his vitality. First and foremost, that's a lot to accomplish in the first paragraph of your bio.
Thank you.
And he has also appeared on Oprah. And if Scott can do it, then he can do it. So can you. So Scott, thank you so much for being here, especially since you have been a regular on Fox News. And you have been from coast to coast speaking and on radio. It's amazing that you have decided to grace us with your presence at this virtual summit.
And I know all the ladies out there are going to learn so much, and probably gentlemen too, hopefully.
Yep.
Hopefully. So, well, I appreciate you guys having me. And, my mission is to help. I want to help people change. I work with a lot of women's organizations. I work with the women's organization Dress for Success on creating self-esteem. And really what we're going to talk about today is creating a vision of success in your life and then making it a reality and doing some simple things to make that happen. It only makes sense that if you want to be successful, you got to see what that looks like in your mind before it happens. It's kind of like, you can't go on a great vacation if you don't know where you're going. You got to have a destination. So we're going to talk about that today. I want to share with you my story, because I think a lot of people will be able to relate to it. And I think that a lot of people are listening to your summit and they're saying, yeah, all these people are saying great things, but I don't know if I'm good enough to do that, or I don't know if I'm worthy enough to do that. And, I've always had this vision in my head that I wanted to help people, that I wanted to make a difference in this world. That's who I was. That's always how I've been, even as a little kid. And you would have noticed me as a kid. I was the fat kid. And when I say I was a fat kid, I was a fat kid in my neighborhood. And I was teased. I was bullied. I was called all kinds of names. And I would never let anybody see that pain that it caused me. But what I did is I withdrew from the world. And I began to spend my life in front of the TV set and the refrigerator. They became my quote-unquote best friends at that time. And the more I was teased, the more I withdrew, the more I ate. And that cycle continued, and it got worse and worse, and I got bigger and bigger. And then, of course, I wasn't really getting out in the world, so I really didn't have any social skills. Mm-hmm. And I can remember times when I was a kid. Like, I remember being in grade school in gym class, and every year we would do the President's Program on Physical Fitness. Remember that? Or I think they still do it. Right? It'd be a week long, and, the whole week you'd be doing things like push-ups and sit-ups, all kinds of ups. And none of them I did very well. But the day I dreaded the most is the day they would weigh us. They would weigh us in on one of the days. And I had a particularly sadistic gym teacher who thought it was much more efficient to weigh us from the lightest to the heaviest kid. And every year, it would be the exact same thing. It would be the day we weighed in, and it'd be the end of the weigh-in, and all the kids would be on the one side of the gym, and I would be over here by myself. And then the call would come out from my gym teacher. He'd say, okay, Schmaren and anybody else who was left. And it was always just me. And every year I wish that some new kid would move into my neighborhood who was bigger than me to take that title away from me so I didn't have to be the last one. And it never happened. And the call would come out and all the other kids would cheer. And I put that big fake grin on my face, walk up to the scale, and pretend like it was funny, and it was killing me inside. And that little voice inside of me, it was starting to fade away. on wanting to help people. And back to the TV, back to eating. And I remember other times. I remember a time in my 20s. I remember being invited to a New Year's Eve party, and I was very, very excited to be invited to a party. I didn't have much of a social life. And there were 50 people there. And I remember making a plate of food for myself. And I remember finding this wooden rocking chair to sit in the room where everybody was. And I sat down in the chair, and the chair broke. Actually, the better way to describe it is I crushed it. It was like a scene out of a movie. It just shattered into lots of pieces. And here's this short little fat guy sitting on the floor with food all over him. And in that moment, the whole room just froze. And everybody just turned around. And then simultaneously, everybody began to laugh. And I guess truthfully, if you're watching it, it's funny. But for me, it was awful.
Yeah.
I remember wanting to shrink up so I could be about this big and hide someplace. And I remember getting out of there as soon as I could. I had food all over me. And I remember going back to my apartment and spending my New Year's Eve with my two best friends at that time. A large sausage pizza and a frozen Sara Lee cheesecake with the strawberries. And I ate them all. I stuffed myself. I was sick. I was miserable. I hated the world. I hated myself. I blamed everybody else for what was wrong with me, for why I was heavy. And I got to a point where I couldn't take it anymore. I hated myself. I hated the world. I gave up. I don't know how many times I lost 50 pounds, 100 pounds, lose it, gained it back with some more. And I felt hopeless. I felt like there was no other solution than to end my life. So I remember taking a bottle of sleeping pills and painkillers. I remember putting them in a paper cup. I went into my bathroom and I put that paper cup on the bathroom counter, and I looked in the mirror and I saw nothing. And I took all the pills. I took them all. I probably took enough pills to kill an elephant. And I remember sitting down, going to sit down in my living room chair. I had this chair that I sat in and I watched TV, I ate in. It was my escape. It was my way of hiding from the world. It was the only place I felt safe. I'm a giant. I'm 5'6". Sometimes I lie and I say I'm 5'7". I weighed 360 pounds. I had a 56-inch waist. I was almost as big around as I was tall. And I just sat there and I waited to die. And at some point I passed out. And I remember right before passing out, I got really scared. I said, did I do the right thing? Yes, I did the right thing. No, I did the wrong thing. And my heart was going 100 miles an hour, and I passed out. It was for a long time. And I don't know why, even to this day, why I'm still alive. But I remember opening my eyes the next morning. And I remember seeing the sun shining through my living room window. And I opened my eyes, and I had this tremendous sense of peace. Can't explain it in words. Words can't describe it properly. But I thought I was dead at first. It was that peaceful. And then I had this revelation. I was alive. And it dawned on me in that moment in time. I became very present. And I realized that all the issues I had in my life were nobody else's fault. It wasn't your fault or anybody else's fault, society's fault. It was my fault. It was my responsibility. In that moment, I got clarity. And I got out of my chair. And I started studying. I wanted to know why I was having this internal struggle with myself. I wanted to be thin. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to have a happy, enjoyable life. But yet something inside of me, another voice was saying, no, that's not who you are. So I began to explore my mind. I began to study things like hypnosis and how my subconscious mind works and how change takes place. And as I began to work on myself, I created this vision for myself. I created this vision for myself that I had a strong, healthy, lean, attractive, youthful body weighing 175 pounds or less. And I started burning it into my head. And then, with really not even becoming aware of it, I began to make subtle changes in my life. And it was starting to shrink and get smaller. And people started noticing, what are you doing? I said, I'm just working on changing my mind and what thoughts go through it and how I perceive myself in the world. And people said, well, can you help me? Can you help me lose weight? And then it was other things. Can you help me do better in sports? Can you help me with my business? Can you help me with my self-esteem? Can you help me love myself a little bit more? So fast forward, I'm 54 years old now. My weight stays between 171 and 174. It never changes. I've been like this for a long time. And not only that, my hair is better. This is my hair color. I don't color my hair. My skin is better. I feel really good. I'm in the best physical condition I've ever been in my entire life. And I can do things that people a lot younger than me can do. And they actually do more. And that little voice in my head that left me when I was so miserable came back to me. Actually, it came back loud and strong. It was screaming at me, saying, you need to help people. You need to make a difference in this world. So I took my real estate career and I walked away from it. And I started focusing my life on helping people become the best they can be so they can really discover how truly amazing they are. And all of you are. All of you are. You just have to believe that. You have more power in you than you can ever imagine. And as I begin to explore myself more and more, I've got to work with some really incredible people, from professional athletes to celebrities, and people going through life struggling with things, and even working with kids, cancer patients. I've met some really incredible people that have probably given to me as much as I've given to them. And this is my life. I work one-on-one coaching people, and I speak just like I am with you guys today. And I share my story with you, not to impress you, but I am no different than you. You and I are the same. There's no difference. I'm just a person who said they had enough, and I changed. And all of you have the capabilities of changing. So I want to talk to you today a little about that and creating a simple daily routine that can drive you towards your vision. So let's talk about change. You know, most of us will go to a seminar, or you'll hear great speakers like in your summit this weekend. And all that stuff will make sense to them. But then after they get off their computer, or next weekend, maybe they took some notes. Maybe they'll do it for a little while, what was given to them to do, and then they stop doing it, or they don't do it at all. And the reason they don't do it at all, logically they know that they should be, is because inside of them is this not so little device called your subconscious mind. And we think that we do everything at a conscious level. Neuroscientists tell us now that we do about 10 to 15% of what we do at a conscious level. When you learn something new, you have to learn it consciously. But then as you internalize it, it becomes automatic. I'll give you an example is driving, right? When you were 15, 16 years old, and you're learning how to drive, you got in the car, you think about putting your hands at 10 and at 2, and check this mirror, check that mirror, check the rear view mirror, where's the gas, where's the brake? Do you do that now? No. You get in the car, you drive, and probably half the time you don't even remember where you drove to, but you got there without killing anybody, hopefully, and not running any traffic lights. And you go on autopilot. And your subconscious mind is so powerful. I call it the all-powerful key. Whatever you give it with purpose and conviction, it'll make a reality and happen in your life. The problem with that is it has the mentality of a 2-year-old. It takes everything literally. So if you give it something great, it'll focus on it. It does not distinguish between past, present, future. It does not distinguish between good and bad, right or wrong. So if you give it something really great, good, it'll go there and it'll drive you towards it. It's a goal-achieving mechanism. However, if you give it something bad to focus on, or something bad happens, or you grow up in an environment that's bad and it's repeated over and over and over again, at some point it says, oh, I guess that's just the way life is. And then it always comes from the place that's trying to help you. So what happens? It rationalizes behavior. It rationalizes why you can do what you're doing, even though you know it's wrong. It's what allows a drug addict to be a drug addict, and an alcoholic to be an alcoholic. They know what they're doing is bad and it'll kill them, but they do it anyway. And that's why, for many people, change is so difficult. It's why they have a hard time reaching out. And we make change 2 ways. We make change in a highly emotionally charged state. You can make change very quickly. Like a good example, if you have children, the moment your child is born during the birth process, you instantly have a shift and change, both mothers and fathers, on how their perspective of the world is. Their life changes in an instant. However, most change comes through repetition. The environment you grow up in. If you grow up in an environment where people say really negative things, you grow up in an environment of poverty, you have a tendency to live in poverty because that's what you know and it's what you're familiar with. If you hear negative things, I work with a lot of business people, And a lot of them struggle with money.
Mm-hmm.
They struggle with either one, they get to an income level, they can't get above it, or they make a lot of money real quick, and then they crash and burn, and then the whole cycle starts over. Why? Well, a lot of them grew up hearing things like this. Money is the root of all evil. Only dishonest people make a lot of money. They grew up in an environment where maybe they didn't have a lot, and maybe for religious reasons, or their parents needed to rationalize why they weren't successful, so they said things like, people that make a lot of money are dishonest. So what happens? Now you go through life as an adult, you start having some success. What happens? You start to make some money, and the little voice in the back of your head says, what are you doing? You know, you're a good person, and good people just don't make money like this, so you better stop doing it. However, it doesn't say it that way. What does it say to you? Oh, you've been working so hard. Why don't you take a day off? Why don't you go on vacation? Why don't you go buy something really nice for yourself that you probably can't afford? And then you start to sabotage your success. You know, I'll tell you a story. I had a client I worked with that owned a telemarketing company. And we wanted to work with their, I was hired to work with their managers on the tonality of their voice, being able to use their ears to sense what's going on with the people they're trying to sell to on the phone. They sold radio advertising. And what was interesting in our first conversation with this company is the owner of the company said, you know, I have my top salespeople that do great all the time. But what's interesting to me is I have one or two people that make the same amount of money every month. And if they make that amount of money in the first week of the month, they mentally check out. However, if they make no money all month, that last week of the month, they will be the most efficient salesperson they have in the company. They'll outproduce the top producers because they have to make that amount of money. And their thermostat is set so low that they'll make that amount of money, and that's all in their mind, in the back of their mind. Their subconscious mind is what they're worth. So that's what I do with people, is I work with them to change that. And your subconscious mind is all powerful. I mean, in making a decision, let's talk about even buying a car. Right? You have two cars you really love, and you're trying to figure out which one you're going to buy. And you're going back and forth and back and forth. You love them both equally. And then finally, you make a decision. And all of a sudden, the car you bought becomes the most amazing car in the world, and the car that you didn't buy becomes the biggest hunk of junk you'd ever want in your life. You hate. That's your subconscious mind rationalizing your decision. We think that we make decisions logically. We don't. And that's for anything. When you buy anything, even if you are a manufacturer and you buy screws for a living, those decisions are made emotionally. Then once we make an emotional decision, we back it up with our own logic. We come up with our own facts to support the decision we make. And that's how we do everything. Otherwise, we'd all be driving the same car. We'd all be wearing the same clothes. And that's what we'd be doing. So that is the basis of what I do. And I want to give you some simple things here today that can help you begin to change that process so you can become the best that you want to be. So let's talk about something simple. How do you create a vision for what you want in your life? So I'm going to give you a simple process for you to run yourself through. It's a lot of fun. And here's what I want you to do, is take a notebook. And if you want to do this now, great. If you don't want to, you can want to do it later. That's fine too. And here's the premise I want you to take. Imagine that I am your fairy godmother. And if you need to imagine me in the Glenda dress and the blonde wig and the magic wand and the crown, hey, whatever floats your boat, that's fine. And imagine that right now I am waving my magic wand. And as I wave my magic wand, all the limitations of your past have been removed from your life. There are no limits. There's nothing blocking you from living the life you've always wanted to live. And on top of that, you are already living the life of your dreams. You're already living the life of your vision. And taking that premise, here's what I'd like you to do. I want you in each of these areas of your life to write down what your life would be like in great detail. In fact, as you start writing it, maybe you want to go back to it every day or every other day and add something to it. And the first area of your life is, what do you look like physically? Is your body different? Your hair different? What kind of clothes are you wearing? How are you physically? Again, there's no limits. It can be anything. If you want yourself to be taller, be taller. Make yourself the way you want to be. The second area of your life is, and I'll lump these together, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. How are you? How do you experience the world? How do you feel about yourself? What's your connection to the universe? How is it different than what it is now? Again, there's no limitations. Exactly the way you'd want to be. Okay? Next area is your relationships. How are your relationships? Yourself? You have a spouse? Children? Friends? Family? What are your relationships like? How do you want them to be exactly? What do you want out of those relationships? Write those down. Next area is, what's your career? What is your career? What are you doing? Are you doing the same thing you're doing now? Or maybe it's something totally off the wall that you've always dreamed about doing. Then do it. Write it down. What would it be like? Who you are, what you are. Write it down. Again, the more detail you write, the better it'll be. Income. How much money are you making? How much money do you have in the bank? Again, there's no limits. So don't limit yourself. If you want to make $10 million a year, $100 million a year, $1 billion, whatever it is, again, there's no limits. You're living the life you've always wanted to live.
So we're creating the narrative of the lives we want.
Well, what you're doing is you're starting to create a picture in your mind. Your subconscious mind sees in pictures. And if you give it a picture with purpose and conviction, it'll accept it as a truth, even if it's not. I mean, when I weighed 360 pounds, I knew I didn't weigh. I created this vision that I weighed 175. You think I knew that I weighed 175? No, but my subconscious mind began to accept that picture. And then it started doing something to change. What it did is it started noticing things that will let me be 175. Like maybe eating a little bit less, maybe having a desire to go for a walk, things I'm not even aware of. I'll give you an example. One of my clients is a comedian, and I work with him to lose weight. And he used to drink a ton of soda.
Yes.
And one day he went to the grocery store, he bought a case of soda, and he calls me up a couple weeks later. He goes, I got to tell you a funny story. He goes, I bought this case of soda 2 weeks ago. I just never thought about drinking it. It just kind of slipped my mind. And those are the changes I'm talking about. They're subtle, you're not even aware of them, and you begin to change. You start making better choices, whether it's food, maybe you start working a little bit harder in your business, maybe you work a little bit smarter. So going back to our vision, how much money do you want to make? And then I want you to do something fun. I want you to decide where you're going to live. Are you going to live in the same place you're living in now? Are you going to live someplace else? Maybe you're going to have 4 or 5 places around this country, around the world you want to live. So why not? And then when you go through that process, I want you to create a scene. I want you to create a scene that represents all that success, like you're doing a movie trailer, or maybe you're showing a 30-second commercial, like a TV show. Let me give you some examples. One of my clients, another comedian, in his vision, again, he's gone through this whole process, and the way he represents all that success is this. He's in the best physical shape of his life, okay? He lives in New York, and he gets on his private helicopter. He's wearing a pair of blue jeans and no shirt. He's in great physical shape. He's got rollerblades on. He's got hockey gloves on and a hockey stick. He gets on his private helicopter, flies off to someplace on Long Island, outside at a roller rink to play hockey, roller hockey with his friends. He has the best game of his life, gets on his helicopter and goes home. Another one of my clients has this beautiful house on the beach in Hawaii. It's Christmas Day. They have a panoramic view of the ocean from their dining room. They're sitting around the table, family, a couple of close friends. It's Christmas Day, they're having their Christmas dinner, and they're celebrating how wonderful life is. So create a vision, and when you create it, I want you to be able to describe the things you see. Describe the sounds you would hear. If you're by the ocean, you want to hear the sound of the seagulls or the waves rushing against the shore. What do you feel? What are the emotions you feel inside? Do you feel your sense of love and passion for yourself and the world around you? What do you think? Maybe even what do you smell and taste? Again, if you're by the ocean, maybe you smell the sea breeze, feel the warmth of the sun. The more detail you can experience, the better it is. And then what I want you to do is
Yourself there, right?
Hmm?
Because you can truly see yourself there when you
want to be able to see
smell
yourself
it and hear it.
And then what I want you to do is every night before you go to bed, I want you to think about that scene as you're falling asleep. Why? As you're starting to fall asleep, your mind starts to slow down, and you enter, starting with alpha down to theta, which is deep sleep and dreaming. You're giving your subconscious mind something to do while you're sleeping. Your subconscious mind functions 24/7. So instead of running willy-nilly in your head, why don't you just let it have some direction from you? In fact, are you guys familiar with the book Think and Grow Rich by
Yeah.
Napoleon Hill?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody should read that book. And if you're not familiar with it, Napoleon Hill was this man that lived in the early 1900s, actually the late 1800s, early 1900s. He was a young reporter. And at that time, he had an opportunity to interview Andrew Carnegie, who was really at that time probably the most powerful and wealthiest man in the world. And this isn't 1900, 1901 to whatever it was. And Andrew Carnegie loved Napoleon Hill. He was asking him questions about success and is there a formula for success? And their interview concluded. And then Andrew Carnegie invited him back the next day and said, listen, Napoleon Hill was a young man at the time. He said, there is a formula for success, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. I want you to discover it for yourself. And he challenged him to dedicate the next 20 years of his life studying the most successful people in this world. And he offered to give him invitations and introductions to these people. So who did he interview? The people that really built this country. People like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, the Wright brothers, Alexander Graham Bell, all of these incredible people, the industrialists that built this country. And after his 20 years, there is a formula. There's 17 distinct principles for success. And the first one is creating a vision, or as he stated it, creating a definite major purpose in your life or a chief aim. And what he talked about is focusing all your attention and energy consciously on that, then turning it over to your subconscious mind, and then turning it over to the infinite intelligence of the universe. And that's how, those are his words. And all of these people had one common thing. Every night before they went to bed, they thought about what their chief aim, their vision, their most definite major purpose in life was. And they would fall asleep with it on their minds. And all night long, their mind was working on solutions. How many times have you woken up in the middle of the night with a solution to something you've been working on or a problem or not? It just popped into your head.
So many times. So many times.
Good to keep a notepad next to your bed when you're sleeping. And like a lot of times you wake up, you go back to sleep, and they're gone in the morning if you don't write them down. So focusing on what you want. The other most powerful tool is keep writing it out. Neuroscientists have taught us now that what we write out in our own handwriting, we believe to be true, even if it isn't. Because you're really engaging three of the major modalities. Your five major modalities are your sight, your hearing, your sense of feeling, of touch and emotion are one. Taste, smell. You use three of them all the time, which is your sight, your hearing, and your feeling. So what are you doing when you're writing things out in your own handwriting? You're actually feeling yourself, the pen in your hand, writing out the letters on the piece of paper. You see yourself writing it, and almost everybody, when they're writing it, reads to themselves. They hear themselves narrating. Sometimes even you see people writing and you can see their lips moving, but you're always saying it to yourself in your mind in your own voice. So do those things. And you'll find that people that are highly successful, they write things out. So what should you write? Let's talk about a simple way to keep a daily routine. And you should look at your daily routine for your mind. It's like exercise, okay? I would love to go to the gym one time, have a perfect body, and never ever go back there again. But it's,
we all.
yes, we would. It's not going to happen. So, and just like your mind is the same way, you can't do something one time and expect everything to change. Maybe once in a blue moon it happens for somebody, but the reality is it's that repetition over and over that'll bring you success. So what should you write in your journal every day? You want to write out your vision, and I would write it out all the time. I would write out that story. I would write out every day. I would find five things that I'm thankful for. And it can be anything. You need to make them different all the time too. You don't want to get a habit of just writing the same thing, because then it becomes just an automatic process. You want to have to dig in your mind a little bit and find something you're thankful for. Maybe you're thankful for a heated conversation you had with somebody and you were able to keep your composure. So find gratitude even in the negative things in life. The next thing you want to write out is, I write this statement out, evidence of my successes. And I go through my day and I find some reason that showed me that I'm successful. Maybe it was finding a penny on the street. Maybe it was doing some business with somebody. Find something that shows you that you are successful. And again, it could be developing a skill that you didn't have before. Maybe it was learning something new. Maybe it was reading a great book that inspired you to do something you got an idea from. So find evidences of your success. And then I want you to
find evidences of your success.
Okay. Let me give you an example. Okay. It's a holiday weekend. I was in Las Vegas. I got back late Wednesday night. I was at a conference. And Thursday, I picked up a client. Friday, I had a client start with me, and we had an extremely moving session that was very beneficial to him. I wrote that down as evidence of my success, that I was able to help this man do something he wasn't able to do before, and it made me feel really good. I did some new activities. I had a whole shopping list of things when I came back from this conference that I needed to implement to take my business to the next level. And I started checking those things off as I started doing them. Maybe it was as simple as making a phone call. To me, that's evidence of my success, is that I'm taking a step in the direction I want to go in. It can be that simple. Maybe for somebody who is struggling with their weight, the fact that they went out and they walked one block, and it's something they haven't done before, that's a great evidence of your success. You can find success in anything that you do. Okay? Maybe you made a huge mistake in your business. That's evidence of your success, because you know you're not going to do it again, and you learned something from it that made you smarter and wiser.
Thank you for that one.
Yes, thank you.
We've all done
I'm
that.
not beating myself up so much.
That's exactly right. And then the last thing I want you to do is I want you to find at least 5 things that you love about yourself and write them out. So you can do those 3 things. Now, if you want to take it a step further, affirmation writing is a powerful, powerful tool if it's done the right way. It's been around for hundreds of years. I hear people say, oh, it doesn't work. Well, it does work if it's done the right way. So what's the right way? What you want to do is you want to write everything as if it's already happened. Again, your subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between the past, present, and the future, right or wrong, good or bad. So if you write things out as if you already own these things, if you already have these things, and your subconscious mind over a period of time with repetition begins to accept them, it's a wonderful thing. You'll start to take on those activities. We have a device in our mind, and neuroscientists call it the reticular activating system of our mind. And what that means is all 5 of your senses right now are taking in millions and millions and millions of bits of information. Yet you can only process consciously maybe maximum 1,000 a minute. So you're taking in millions a second, but you can only think about 1,000 or so a minute. So almost all that information has to be deleted, or you would probably go nuts. So how does it delete that information? Well, simple things like I'm looking at, I see your flowers in the background, how many leaves, how many petals are in those flowers. It's immaterial information. But also on our values and beliefs, we eliminate information, or we make judgments of whether things are good or bad, and then we spin them and then we shoot them back out into the world. So if you change your perception of yourself, you now become aware of other things. It's like things happen by accident, but they don't. You become like a magnet for what you're thinking about. Here's a good example. You buy a brand new car and you drive it off the dealer's lot, and you're driving home and you see all these incredibly brilliant people that bought the same car you bought. You start noticing your car everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Now the reality is those cars were there yesterday, but they weren't part of your awareness. And that's what your reticular activating system is. So if you start writing out these affirmations in a way that they become a part of you, you start becoming aware of those things to make those things happen. Not at a conscious level, but unconsciously, which is exactly where you want it to be. So the words I am and I have become very important. Their ownership, you're owning those things. And you want to write all your affirmations out in a positive way. In other words, if you are a depressed person, you do not want to write out, I am no longer depressed, because you're focusing on being depressed and you're putting energy to that. What you want to write out is, I'm happy and joyful with my life, or some other thing. You want to move in the direction you want to go in, not away from where you're at. I'll give you an example. When I weighed 360 pounds, I wrote this affirmation out for myself thousands upon thousands of times. I have, and I maintain easily for the rest of my life, a strong, healthy, lean, attractive, youthful body weighing 175 pounds or less. It's my reality. If you start writing consistently in your journal, again, finding gratitude in your life, evidences of your success, things you love about yourself, and affirmations, and you do that consistently on a daily basis. By the way, I've been keeping my daily routine now for, it'll be 14 years in October. I very rarely miss a day. I'd be a liar if I said I didn't miss a day once in a while. I very rarely, it's no different for me than brushing my teeth. I just do it now. It's automatic. In the beginning, it was not, and I had to make myself do it, but over time, it becomes automatic. And what's beautiful about that is when you start to write these things out, they're like the stories of your future reality. I'll look back at old journals and, oh, that's already happened. It's like you're writing out what's going to happen. It's like you become your own fortune teller. So write them out. It's a powerful, powerful tool. And the other two things I'll recommend to you is inside of you, we have two tools that are invaluable to you for success. In fact, when you don't use those tools, it's the main reason that most people fail. It's not because they don't have the ability or the skill. I don't believe that. I think you already have inside of you everything you need. Is they lack patience and persistence.
Thank you for saying that.
We try something for a little while, and then what do? We quit. Because we didn't get the result we wanted right away. And we live in a world that we want everything now, yes?
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm looking at Winona because sometimes she lacks the patience that I think it will.
Not the persistence, but the patience.
So I was like, thank you for saying it's patience too.
So, patience. However long it's going to take you to get to where you're going in your vision is how long it's going to take. The difference is patience. Patience will decide whether you go on the journey and learn from the journey what you need to get there, or whether you quit. And the other important tool you need to have is persistence. Why? There is going to be obstacles and challenges in that road. We all think that we're going to go from point A to point B, and it's going to be the straight line like this. I don't know anybody that's had that straight line.
When does life ever
all these curves in the road to where you want to go, and those curves and the potholes and the obstacles and the flat tires, those are the things you need to learn to get there. So you got to have the persistence that when something happens, and it could be a bad thing that happens, but there's something to learn from it, and you just get up one more time and you move on. There is a old Japanese proverb: fall 7 times, stand up 8. And no matter how many times you fall down, get up one more time. So that's my creed and my motto I live by. In fact, I have it tattooed on one of my legs, going right up the side of my leg in Japanese. And it reminds me every day that no matter what happens, still things happen. I have things that I plan on it going one way and it goes the other way. What did I learn? Learn something from it. So take the things that happen, use patience and persistence to be amazing, because there's so much you can do. There's so much that you can do. There's no limit to what you can accomplish if you decide, if patience, persistence, and do the things. I was very fortunate when I was a young man. I met a very successful businessman. I was in my 20s. And really at the time, it didn't make sense to me what he said, but for some reason what he said to me made total sense. And he said to me, Scott, if you want to be successful, the minor adjustments and changes you need to make are usually so simple and so basic that the average person will see them as being ridiculous and they will never do them. We're all looking for the big thing. There's no big thing. It's the little things. It's the little things. If you look at the most successful people, it's the little things they do on a daily basis that other people don't do, like focusing on their vision every night before they go to bed, writing things down in their journal, things they're grateful for, evidences of their success if they're moving in the right direction, things they love about themselves, writing out affirmations, doing those small things on a daily basis, in a daily process every day builds momentum. You create new neural pathways in your mind. You're powerful. You're powerful beyond all measure. There's nothing. I don't look at myself as any different than anybody else. If I can lose 180 pounds, geez, anybody can do anything. I was at a seminar this weekend, and I took this class that I thought was going to be a lot of fun, and it really was a lot of fun. But I thought it was great. It was later in the afternoon. It was just to give my mind a rest. And the guy was teaching a class on how to bend spoons with your mind. And I thought it'd be really a lot of fun. Now here's what's interesting. He did this program with everybody in the class, and there's actually a protocol room for actually doing it, and it was done by a rocket scientist. Understand that people in quantum physics, people like Einstein, some of these great scientists, realize that everything in this world is energy. The computer I'm talking to you now is really based on energy we just see as a solid. Our body, our thoughts, everything is electrical energy. It's a vibrational force. So if you can attune yourself to the vibrational force of something else, you can change it. So this rocket scientist, a scientist, created this protocol on bending spoons. And it's getting yourself into your mind. And so he does this with the whole class. Each had a spoon. And I would say that 75% of the people, at some point the spoon gets real soft, and you can bend and twist it, and then it gets hard again. And I thought it was a fun class, but then something else happened. Talk about how evidence of your successes and you learn something new. You can teach somebody to bend a spoon. That's pretty incredible, don't you think?
Yeah.
All right, so imagine how much easier it would be to do everything else you want to accomplish in your life. If you can bend a spoon, you can probably do anything, right?
Definitely.
Definitely. I mean,
think about that. I mean, if you can take an inanimate object, a piece of metal, and change it and bend it, what you want to accomplish should be pretty easy, don't you think?
Yep.
So all of a sudden, this fun class became a metaphor for me to use with my clients. This guy who taught us the class does this as a group with teenagers that are in alcohol and drug rehab. Why? They usually have horrible, low self-esteem. And all of a sudden, they're bending a spoon and they're saying, wow, how did I do that? I guess I must be worth something. I can do something. So it becomes powerful metaphors.
Definitely.
So I want to share a story with you about one of my clients. And it's the perfect example of how vision can change your life. I have this lady I work with who is, I'll give you her name. Her name is Nilsa Anderson. You can Google her. And I love her, one, because I know she's way shorter than me. I feel really tall when I'm with her because I'm 5'6". And she came to me, and she's a female bodybuilder. And she was a top amateur bodybuilder, but she had this big, big goal. She wanted to win a national pro bodybuilding championship. And then she trained other fitness competitors. She wanted to open up her own gym to train competitors. And she was always falling just a little bit short of winning. So I started working with her when she was getting ready for a national competition. She entered this competition. And the only thing she did different is we changed what was going on in here. Mm-hmm. We created the process that I did with you, I did with her, and then we took it, I do it with my clients on a one-on-one basis, is we take them into their subconscious mind and install it, which is something we can't do here. And not only was she able to see herself on stage, she could feel the heat of the light, she could hear the cheer of the crowd. And then we fast forward her, and she saw her gym opening, how she was working with these fitness competitors and helping them in their goals. So what happened? It was 3 years ago. She went to Pittsburgh. She entered the IFBB Pro Bodybuilding Championships. She entered in 3 divisions. She won all 3 divisions.
Wow.
She won not 1 title, she won 2 pro titles. What's interesting about that? She was 56 years old when she did that. She won her age division. She won the age division under that one, and she won the age division under that one. The woman she beat in the all-around was not much older than her daughter.
Wow. Now that is an accomplishment.
Amazing.
Wait, it gets better. A year later, her gym opened up. Called the Competitor's Edge. It's still there. In fact, a year after that, she doubled the size of her gym. And she is training fitness competitors from all different places. So the only difference is what she sees inside of her mind.
Thank you, Mr. Schmaren, for showing us the creative advantage. I'm so sorry. I know you have so many more things to say and so many more.
I know you've got another program to do.
Yeah, we just ran out of time.
If I can help any of your listeners, they can get a hold of me. I'll give you 2 ways to reach me. You can reach me by email at scott@ultimatevisionarymind.com. Or, if you want to call me, I'll talk to you. You can reach me at my direct line at 847-331-5848.
Is there something final that you would love to leave the listeners with today? Just one.
I think that you are powerful beyond all measure. All you need to do is believe it, and then live it. And your dreams will become reality.
That is
Wow.
so true.
That's so true.
So all you entrepreneurs out there, if you are believing you're going to have a successful business, with Mr. Schmann's help, of course, you can definitely have a successful business. So we thank you so much for being here with us and for starting us on the path with those 5 things and the 5 things that we should do for affirmation as well. This has been Mr. Schmaren, and we are the And We Thought ladies, and we have the And I Thought series at andwethought.com. We thank you so much. We can't wait for you guys to be with us on our next speaker on the Virtual Success Summit. Thank you so much for being here today.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.